Well, welcome. I'm Betsy Thomason. I'm one of the three speakers, and we're even Steven here. We got one for everybody here. I had this idea a year ago when I spoke here about breathing that it would be really beneficial to have one afternoon when several health people got together to share their knowledge with the community. And here it is a year later, and it's happening. So I'm really excited to be here. We are expecting other people, but I like to get started at the time because you honored the time and you're here, and so here we are. So Allison and Linda, you want to come up and we'll introduce ourselves to you so you know who we are and why it is that we could stand here as experts in our fields.
Great. You want to go first?
Oh, come on, yeah, stand together, absolutely. So Allison, you want to go? I'll follow up. I'll finish up.
I'm Allison Trowbridge, and I'm a massage therapist. I have an office in Newfane, and I've been doing massage for about 14 years. And I guess, I've done different trainings, but I just find constantly just getting out and talking to people and working on people really helps me and my growth as a massage therapist, and I'm always happy to share anything I know with people, and hopefully it would help them.
And I have a question for you. Massage therapists use their hands, but is there any other part of the body that you use that makes you perhaps unique in the massage?
Yes, I've done a training in Ashiatsu, which is based on Asian traditions. I use my feet. And I have special bars on the ceiling in my office, and what it does is it enables me to give quite a bit of pressure if people want that. It can also go light, but it allows me to sink, using my body weight to sink deeper into people's tissues. Some people really like deep work, and that's a helpful thing for them, but also it can be quite light. I've done it on my husband and daughter who like light work. And the nice thing about it too, because we're talking about a leg as opposed to an arm, the leg is that much longer, so I can get these very nice long strokes. And I actually stand on the table, and I have one foot on the table and use my foot. And then also, I use other parts of my body besides my hands. I use my forearms and elbows, and in chair massage, I'll use my knees. But it was funny because I looked at the definition of massage on Wikipedia, and it said the use of the hands on parts of the body. I kind of got a kick out of that. So, anyway.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah.
Linny.
I'm Linny Mazumdar, and I know some of you. And I live here in South Londonderry on Anjali Farm with my husband and daughter. And I'm an Ayurvedic nutrition counselor. And Ayurveda, as I'll explain more in detail in my talk, is the Indian ancient system of health, which has had a recurrence, a revival here in the West very recently. And growing up in India, you sort of grow up with Ayurvedic practices not knowing that they are Ayurvedic. And then now here I'm reading about them in books. So it was instilled in me as a very young child, but it's really been great to learn more about it. And I have been talking locally a lot and educating people on Ayurveda. And I also see clients. I have a small office in South Londonderry across from the Grandma Miller's Bakery in the yellow building across there. And so I can see you as a client as well. And I do a lot of cooking classes as well, Ayurvedic and Indian cooking classes.
You also have takeout, don't you?
And I do a weekly takeout, Indian tiffin takeout, based all Indian food. You come and pick it up from the farm. You pre-order and you pick it up from the farm.
Does that happen on a certain day?
It usually is Wednesdays. I've taken a break in July because our house is being renovated and the new place I'm living in doesn't have a good stove. So I'm not cooking.
Oh, nice, a little vacation. Too hot to cook.
And it's too hot to cook. It really is. Yeah.
And I'm Betsy Thomason. I've been an elementary school teacher, a respiratory therapist, and now I am the revolutionary breathing trainer, because I am going to teach you how to turn your breathing upside down and make it work for you in your daily life. 30 years ago, I learned the breathe out dynamic system, and I started applying it in my life, and I realized how much It helped me with energy and just developing a loving feeling towards my body. It led me back to school to become a respiratory therapist, and then I discovered that respiratory therapists really don't teach breathing. But I always did because it's something you can do. It's a resource that you have. You can always call upon it. So I'm here today to share the Breathe Out Dynamic System, and I've written a book, Just Breathe Out, I have it for sale here, which is a how to breathe guidebook. It takes this little piece of ancient yoga wisdom which says you get strength from your out-breath, and it expands on it for use in daily life, whether it's activities of daily living or something that you really love to do, like hiking or walking or whatever, making love, whatever it is. So that's what I'm here to share with you. And we're going to start today with Linny sharing with you her knowledge of, or some basic knowledge, let's say, of Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Great. Okay. How many of you have heard of Ayurveda or know a little bit about it? You have. Great.
Hey, Linny, why don't you come closer? You know,
Okay.
there's no reason for you to be a mile away since they're only,
Sure.
since
Sounds
it's
good.
us.
I'll go back if I'm going to write some, or I'll pull
Yeah.
the chalkboard up.
Yeah.
So Ayurveda started in the region of India before it was even India, over 5,000 years ago. It was the Indus Valley civilization. It was very, very brilliant civilization. Lots going on, lots of education, lots of health practices going on, and really great traditions, at that time steeped in oral tradition, and then slowly written down later in the Vedas, where we have relearned Ayurveda from. So Ayurveda means, it's broken into two words, Ayur and Veda. Ayur means life, Veda means knowledge. So this is the science of life. This is the knowledge about life. And we're talking about our lives. So it's very important to know who we are in order to keep ourselves in balance. And Ayurveda teaches us this. So it's a really great guide for us, and it's something that we can learn for ourselves and utilize every day of our lives. It's a mind-body medicine, so it's not just what we eat, but it's based on four different pillars of health, and those are exercise, pranayama, which is breath work, sleep, nidra, and diet, of course. So every time I see someone, can you hear me over this?
Yeah, what did you say before diet?
Pranayama, which is breath work, sleep, nidra.
Oh, sleep.
Sleep, yeah,
Okay.
very important part of our health
Yes.
is sleep. Ayurveda looks at everyone individually. So we start with a doshic intake. So what is our unique constitution? Everyone has a unique constitution. And how do we find this out? And there's a questionnaire that I can administer and that I do have for us to fill out if we're interested. It's interesting to kind of know how this system qualifies you, one. So because everyone is different, people are treated differently as well. The treatment for your cold might be different than the treatment for your cold, for instance. We are also part of nature. Nature is not separate from us. We are nature, so we have to learn to live in balance with nature. And we're lucky that we do live amongst nature, but there are many thousands, millions of people who live in cities and are nature deprived. And actually now there are schools that are, doctors' offices that are prescribing nature-based therapies just to get back into nature more for people. So in Ayurveda, everything is a form of energy. And there are 5 elements or forms of energy: ether, air, which is space, air, fire, water, and earth. And there are also 3 major doshas, or constitutions. And those are vata, pitta, and kapha. Maybe I'll write that down on the board. Vata, pitta. And I'll go into explaining what these are. These are all Sanskrit words, so they might sound different, but what I love is the definition of health according to Ayurveda. It's not the usual definition of health. So in Ayurveda, health is defined as a body that is clear of toxins, a mind that is at peace, emotions that are calm and happy, and organs that function properly. So wastes that are efficiently eliminated, because wastes eliminate toxins. So that's the basic definition of good health in Ayurveda. So it incorporates everything. Our mind has to be at peace. Our body has to be in sync for us to all be in balance. We can't just take care of one aspect of ourselves and feel like we're in balance. It's very different than the Western medical model of health. So let's go on to talking about, I wonder if you want to do the questionnaire to find out a real general, few questions, find out what dosha we are. And we can start that way, and then I can describe what doshas are. So, let me hand out. Sorry, Garrison, this is going to be a few quiet minutes.
It's fine.
And we might need a pencil for each of you. You're welcome. And something to write on maybe as well.
A knee is fine.
A knee is fine? So, on the left-hand column, these are the different qualities you're going to be answering questions to. So, if you can go across this way. The first is body size. Now, the one thing I want you to answer is based on how you were originally, like as a child and most of your life. So can you remember if you have, and you can still tell, is your body size, is your bone structure slender? Or is your bone, do you have a medium frame? Or do you have a large frame? Here we're talking about frame, like you are definitely small framed. I'm sort of medium framed, Could you admit, I was going to look at Garrison, you're not really large framed.
Big thing.
So if you want to go across and just underline one answer to each, and then go down the, did you want something to write on?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Yeah. I'll give you this. Thank you. You're welcome. And then you go doing okay on your knees? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I can go through all of this one by one if you want, if that's helpful. Or you guys can take your time and do it. Or just, if you have questions, just ask me.
What do you mean by a heart-shaped chin?
So tapered face, like you have, versus a rounded chin,
Okay.
Like a flatter chin like I have. Some of the visual ones are more difficult to answer.
Yeah.
And you can turn to someone and say, do I have
What do I have?
Yeah, what do I
Am
have?
I round?
I would say you don't really have a round face. Would you say she has a round face? No, I would say a little more slender. Because you're not rounded and double chinned at all. You're more tapering.
All right.
And Allison, I think you're thin and angular actually.
Okay.
Your face shows.
And I think I'm thin and angular.
I think you're
Okay.
definitely thin and angular, yes.
Definitely think I'm wrinkled.
Well, this is what I mean, don't think of now. Think of how you were. We're all wrinkled after a while,
Sure.
living in the sun, under the sun. So.
This is strange.
I know, I don't know. I think I'm going to be right in the middle.
I'm putting down what other people have told me about myself,
There you go.
which probably is not the right thing to do.
I think my hair is coarse, but it's definitely not kinky and curly.
Not kinky and curly anymore, unless, but did you ever have kinky? Was your hair mostly like this
Yeah,
all your life? Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
It looks thick. It does not look.
wavy, but it's not oily.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know.
We can do it.
For your speech, right?
I'm loud. Penetrating, yeah.
What do you mean by faith?
Faith is, do you have a belief? And we're not asking about religion, but what is, in general, do you have belief in anything or faith in anything? And, so the questions are, does it kind of come and go, which is variable, or you very, very diligently believe in something, or God, or are your beliefs really extreme? Or are they more consistent,
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Question? Sandra? Did you have a question?
No, my finger's stiff. Can you take one from each column?
Sometimes there are duplicate answers and you can answer both. Which one are you stuck on? Sorry.
I'm under emotions at the moment.
Emotions, okay. That you would know yourself. Well, we are all at different times, any of these three, but in general, what are we most? And these are all answers for yourself. So you're going to keep this with you, so don't worry about what you're putting down. Be honest. And then when you're done, you can add up the columns, write the numbers down at the bottom.
So do you want to just add up the line?
Add up the columns, yep,
Okay.
and numbers at the bottom.
And what's the total here?
The total is for each column.
No,
so-
but what's the total, so we know if we've missed something? When we add them up, they should equal what?
Well, I don't know, I'll 32. And if you, sometimes they're double answers, so you might have more than 32. We almost there? Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so you can hang on to that for yourself. Who came out Vata with the highest number Vata? You did. Anyone came out Pitta highest? 2 Pittas. Kapha highest? 2 Kaphas. And did you have Vata was very high and then 2 secondary numbers, or was there a close second?
A close second was Pitta.
Okay.
It was 15 to 12.
Okay. And what about you, Sandra? Did you?
I had for Vata 8 and Pitta 8 and Kapha 8, 16.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the Pitta Vata is similar. And of course, you know, when you come to an Ayurvedic practitioner, they do a much more deeper intake. They can also take pulses, which tell your different doshas. So this is a very rough and general analysis, but it's a good way to get started on it. And there are many online that you can look up and do as well. What did you?
8, 20, and then 5.
Okay, so Pitta highest, and then Vata next. And for you, Pitta?
3, 18, and 12.
3, 18, and 12. So and for you?
8, 11, and 13.
8, 11, and 13. Okay, so your Kapha Pitta are kind of close. So I'll describe these 3 different doshas to you, and then I have handouts that you can take back to and look at home. Because based on our doshas, Ayurveda recommends different diets based on our doshas. Ayurveda recommends different types of exercise based on our doshas, different amounts of exercise, different amounts of sleep. And it's all very important based on our doshas. So let's start with Vata, and we can keep you in mind if you don't mind that, you know. So often Vata individuals have dry skin, hair, or lips, sometimes dry colon, so tendency towards constipation. Now, this doesn't mean that you have all of those things at all,
Right.
but if you have imbalances, they can tend to that. You can have a hoarse voice, because that's got to do with air, and Vata elements are air and space. Light in the muscles, light bones, a thin body frame, a light, scanty sleeper, and a tendency to be underweight. So it's hard to gain weight, it's easy to lose weight for Vata people. Hands and feet and extremities are always cold. So very important to stay warm. Winter, summer, all through the season. Poor circulation in your hands. Really doesn't like the cold, uncomfortable in the cold. Do you like cold season, or do you have a preference?
I do like it because I put a ton of clothes on when I go
Right.
out, and I'm very active. when
Very
I'm
active.
outside.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's how you keep a Vata balanced, is
Right.
by staying warm and doing whatever it takes to stay
Exactly,
warm, especially in the winter
Yes,
time.
I have hand warmers, you
Yeah,
know.
and especially when you live in a very cold place. So stiffness of muscles is a Vata dosha issue. Rough, cracked skin, hair, nails, and feet, sometimes fine hair, often falling out hair. Cracking joints. My joints crack all the time when I sit and stand. It's a Vata issue. Mentally, sort of subtle, sort of fear and anxiety, always a little stressed, a little on the high stress thing. I find that if I'm not on my nice Ayurvedic herbs, and if I don't get enough sleep, I'm a little bit edgy and stressed. Sometimes also you can tell sometimes by watching people walk. Vata people walk very fast. Kapha people walk nice and slow and take their time. Vata people have a place to go fast. So my teacher has a great story, Vasant Lad. He has a great story. He likes to be in the airport, and when his plane is delayed, he doesn't care because he just watches people and tries to guess their dosha. And he says, when you see a Vata person reading a book, this is how they read. Flipping, read one thing, read the other, not in any kind of order. A Pitta person will open the book in the front, read the first page, the second page, the third page, all through the magazine. And the Kapha person will have the magazine over them and falling asleep. So these are our natures, and it's important to get to know our nature and accept ourselves for who we are so we can learn to stay in balance. All right, so let me quickly go through a little bit more Vata. Vata is also very clear and sometimes clairvoyant. They understand concepts really fast. So you remember things fast, you can also forget things fast. And they can experience really clear and sort of empty minds, empty not in a judgmental way, but they can empty their mind of stuff often. Whereas Pitta people process things and hold things, and so we'll go into that. So general guidelines for balancing a Vata dosha is to keep warm all the time, even in Vermont, in a house wearing socks indoors, just so that your feet are warm all the time. Eating warm foods and spices, never eating frozen foods or cold foods. And never eating raw foods either. Maybe in the summer when it's fresh lettuces, but it's harder to digest the raw foods, so eating warm cooked foods is much healthier. Staying in routine is very important for a Vata person. Having a routine and sticking to a routine, because they can tend to distraction and go in many different directions, so it's very important to try and stay balanced by staying in routine. And getting plenty of rest. Vata people need the most amount of sleep, 8 to 9 hours of sleep actually. So that's Vata dosha. The Pitta dosha, which is ruled by fire and the elements of fire and water, they are sometimes the lucky ones. They have good metabolisms and they're sort of stronger. They have good digestive fire, strong appetites, body temperatures tend to be a little higher than general. They're uncomfortable in the heat. We don't like the heat. It's, things like that make them edgy. So they're very sharp and distinct, and their speech is distinct and clear. So often lawyers and teachers have a very Pitta dominant dosha, because you have to have that kind of mind that takes in everything, processes it, and then puts it out clearly. So their body frames are usually medium, not small, not large. They have good oily skin, but when out of balance, they can have real sensitivities to hot, spicy food and deep fried foods. It's not good for Pittas because they generally have excess heat in their body. So therefore, they can tend to rashes and hives and inflammation all over the body. So I heard you say you had RA. That's a Pitta condition. You may not be a Pitta dosha, but you have a Pitta condition of rheumatoid arthritis, which is an inflammatory condition. So an Ayurvedic doctor will treat you for the inflammation, for the Pitta condition, by cooling things down, by telling you to take things that cool your body down rather than inflame. So your diet would be a non-inflammatory diet.
And there are books for people around who can show me what that kind of a diet is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, you have. You have. I'll be giving you a handout too with different foods that Pittas, Vatas, Kaphas should favor and disregard. And also, we should eat in season. So, in the cool season, we're not eating or craving ice cream, hopefully, and we shouldn't be eating ice cream. in the summer season, pittas are pitta people in the summer season should really be careful about eating hot food and eating spicy food because it just aggravates their pitta conditions. So sometimes pittas also have sour stomachs, acidic stomachs. They get heartburn when they're out of balance. They can get heartburn and burning sensations. So redness of eyes and flushed skin is often a pitta condition. And emotionally, when pittas are imbalanced, they are angry, jealous, hateful, critical, judgmental, competitive. Those are the imbalanced characteristics of a pitta person. Doesn't mean you have to have that. You can be a very balanced emotional pitta as well. But that is what a pitta can tend towards. So good guidelines for balancing pitta aggravation, especially now because this is pitta season. This is the summer season, so it's the high heat season. So avoid excessive heat. For instance, if we're exercising outside, exercise in the early mornings, exercise next to water, exercise in water, or exercise in the evenings. So stay away from, exercising in the middle of the day. I see people running on the streets in the middle of the day, and I'm like, I hope you're not pitta. I hope you're not pitta. That's what goes through my head. Avoid excessive oils, avoid spicy foods. Avoid excessive steam, really limit salt intake, caffeine intake, and alcohol intake, as all that heats you up. I'm going to, maybe they can realize that we have a class going.
All right, Barbara, I'm here. I'm not going to go here.
So the third dosha, predominant dosha, is kapha. And kapha people are the heavier boned people. They have large muscles. They're actually the strongest people. If you imagine a football player. They are heavy, but they're totally fit. They have incredible strength and stamina because they're exercising, but they are kapha built people. So that's a good example of a kapha person. They can tend to be overweight if you're not careful. Because they like, the sweet foods and heavier foods. But they're also very loving people. They have big loving eyes. Thank you, Allison. They tend to walk slowly and talk slowly. And they have a slow metabolism and slow digestion. Sometimes cold and clammy skin. Often repeated colds because of congestion. Again, it's very mucus forming in your body. So often have colds, and especially in the springtime, they often get colds or allergies. Like I said before, a desire for sweet and cold drinks as well. Hair is usually oily, skin is usually nice and oily, and I said the muscles are strong and compact and condensed. Their nature is generally calm and loving and very even. But they're also very attached people. They're very attached to their animals, their families, their pets, their whatever it is, their stuff, So they're those grounded, really grounded people. And they're the ones that are, if in balance, are the strongest and have the most longevity if you can keep yourself in balance. Otherwise, you can also go the other way and become overweight and then have issues that come from being overweight. General guidelines for keeping kapha doshas in balance are getting plenty of exercise. This is the dosha that needs the most exercise. Although you often find vata people doing the most exercise, it's actually the kaphas that need the most exercise. It's very important to vary your routine. Don't stick to the same thing every day. Important to avoid heavy foods, avoid fatty foods and oily foods, to make sure you keep active, and to eat light meals and avoid excessive dairy and avoid daytime napping because it just puts you into that sort of sluggish nature that you already have a tendency towards. So those are, I'm watching the clock, those are the basic guidelines for Vata Pitta Kapha. You'll have a handout which gives you way more details on those. You can also, if you get more interested, it took me as an Ayurvedic practitioner many years to figure out my dosha. And so this, like I said, is a good start, but take it over and over again. You'll be like, maybe I'm not this, maybe I'm that, you know? So the one thing I did want to talk about also was Abhyanga, which is a self-oil massage. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So one of the things that is recommended by in Ayurveda, especially for Vata dosha people, is good oil massage, because everything you put on your skin gets absorbed into your skin. So different doshas have different types of carrier oils that are good, but every morning before your shower, they recommend rubbing oil all over your body, preferably warm oil, and you can scent it with a little bit of pure essential oil if you want. And there are many benefits to that. And then after that, you take your shower. And you don't really need to use a lot of soap except in strategic parts. But your skin comes out feeling really soft and really, really wonderful. Kapha people shouldn't have oil on their bodies for too long. Vata people suck in and take in all their oils. In fact, I put cream on my face in the morning that I make, oil, but it just goes right into my body. At night I put it on my feet with lavender oil on it, so it helps me sleep. Again, in 5 minutes, my feet are dry. So, oil Abhyanga is a really good way for all doshas. And there's a handout also on Abhyanga that I have. Do you all have any questions? I mean, I could keep going on and on talking more about it, but I feel like I wanted to give you the basic idea of how different unique individuals are looked at and how different individuals are treated, and I can answer deeper questions, if you have specific things about your dosha specifically towards you later on, or in the evening meeting with you. Any other? I feel like I'm running out of time and I don't want to overstep. Okay?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes.
And I will just tell our remote audience that our next presenter is Allison Trowbridge, massage therapist in Newfane. She's going to lead us in some hands-on massage techniques. Allison?
Yes. So as I said, before coming here, I checked out the definition of massage, and I decided to come up with my own, which is applying pressure to the body for a positive result. And some of the benefits of massage are it helps to soothe sore tissues and allows muscles to relax and muscle fibers. When we're tense, we are contracted. Our muscle fibers are shortened, so massage helps them lengthen and relax. It also massage increases circulation, stimulates circulation, and that helps the relaxation and circulation improvement helps to improve our sleep, and also we get a better range of motion. And then also, I think a really profound aspect of massage is just very deep relaxation. It's not only the body's physical body, the tissues, but it's also our mental and emotional state. It promotes it's very, very relaxing. And self-massage is massage performed by yourself, on yourself. So the giver is also the receiver. And that's different. Many people go to a massage therapist and receive massage. And I think that's one advantage of having a professional massage, is that you don't have to do anything. You are purely in receiving mode, which, my mother, for instance, does not like that. She's very active and she likes to be in charge. But many people I know do love just being able to lie back and be worked on and receive. But there are some advantages to doing self-massage. It's certainly cheaper, and it doesn't require any travel to a therapist. You can do it anywhere you want. And also, because you uniquely know your own body, you can put the pressure in places where you feel you need it. And there are different reasons that you might want to do self-massage. It could be, for instance, you have a headache and you want to, places people work for headaches, or often there's some pressure points in here, maybe rubbing your scalp. People in general, I think naturally, we all gravitate toward massaging ourselves at times. Oh, my arm is so sore, and what can I do about this? And so it's a natural thing. What I'm hoping to really do today is just to encourage you to try it, and also to maybe just give you some guidelines to help you out if you do try self-massage. And one of the beauties of today is the internet. And if you go on the internet and Google self-massage, there's just countless things. And there are videos, there's, very specific routines that you can try to play, do this, it'll have very specific, almost like a recipe for self-massage. And you can also feel free to just do your own thing. But I encourage you, check out the internet, see what you can find, and try it out. And with massage, there's many different techniques and approaches to address different issues. So for instance, if I was working on someone or myself because I had a headache, it would be very different massage than if I was working on someone or myself for overexertion of muscles. The headache would probably be more holding kind of pressure, mostly focused on neck and head, maybe a little into the shoulders, into the hands. Whereas overexertion would be larger, deeper, more physical strokes. So there's many different techniques to suit any situation, and the beauty is because you're doing your own massage, you get to say, oh, this is what I like, or no, I don't like that, and you can certainly do that with a professional massage, but sometimes people feel shy and don't want to speak up. And so it's nice that's a power you have when doing it yourself. And sometimes one of the limitations of doing your own massage is you can only reach certain places, and certainly depending on your flexibility and the pressure you want, it's kind of hard to get everywhere with your hands. But happily, there are many tools you can use, and you can buy things such as like this Theracane, which has these nubby points, and it's designed so you can get places with this arched shape. You can do all kinds of things. You can also use it on the bottom of your feet. All these different nubbins, you can find ways to use it. And these are available, you can get them online, but I also down at the Wyndham Movement Apparel in Brattleboro, on Main Street of Brattleboro, they have these and several of these other things, these foam rollers.
How much is a Theracane, you said?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $25, $30, I think. I bought that several years ago. And I do use it quite a bit. And I keep coming up with some different ways to use it. So it's kind of fun. It comes with this book, a little booklet, but...
I guess the thing that I was questioning was my own flexibility, because I have
Right.
very little flexibility now. But that, might be something I could do.
Right, and they have other variations. There's the back novel. They're all basically have this big curve and nubby ends, and you can use it to dig into a point, or you can use it, just drag it across your body. And then foam rollers. There are many different kinds of foam rollers that come in different sizes. And there's two kinds. I only have this kind. There's another kind that looks like a rolling pin, but the beauty of massage tools is you can use a lot of household objects. The rolling pin is really nice for kind of rolling out things, and you can really, you can also use this as a nubby end in, certain places. You can get quite creative. And foam rollers, often you put them on the floor, and then you move your body over it. So if I was working my hamstrings here, I could do this kind of thing, or you get your IT band on the outside of your leg. And there's a little more athleticism involved with the foam rollers, and that may not be for everyone.
Someone would have to come and
But,
might get
but
up and
it,
do
it really does, and you could probably, I mean, I haven't tried this, but you could probably do it against a wall.
Absolutely, I've done that session.
Yeah, so, you'd have to be a little creative, but, yeah, but you can, and that's the nice thing too, because then you can, when you're on the floor as your body weight, it's very hard to, you have to lift yourself up if you want lighter pressure, but this, so you definitely could play with that. But it really does give a very nice, deep kind of work into some, often, especially these outside, these IT bands, which is a band of tissue running from the hip down to the top of the tibia below the knee. That is almost always very tight.
How about the sciatic nerve?
Well, that's more in the back, and that problems with that usually come right in the glutes. So you could do gluteal release with this, or you could use my absolute favorite tool, the tennis ball.
And I have no use for those anymore.
Well, you have all sorts of, actually, when I was online looking at massage things, there's a whole website on like uses of tennis balls that are not tennis, and not including dog toys. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So they have all kinds of uses. But again, the tennis ball, we can use that the same way against the wall or sitting on it. And I thought if you wanted, I thought it'd be kind of fun, give you guys some tennis balls, and we could kind of experiment with different massage. And these are brand new, so they're a little smelly. Some people don't like that smell, others do.
But nice and stiff.
Yes, these are serious hard little tennis balls.
Squishy.
And one thing too, you can do variation, just high tech here. You can knot a sock and put two. You can do more. And some people like that, it becomes almost like a foam roller.
And actually, if you lie on the floor with that and put it under your
Yes. Yes, it's like what you can pay like $20 and get this thing called a still point inducer, or you can do this. And then just a couple of caveats when you're doing self-massage. If you're feeling pain from what you're doing, you should, especially in the beginning. I mean, there's such a thing as, it hurts so good thing, but probably back off. If you're grimacing, if you're tensing, if you're wincing, that's too much. And then just either you're in the wrong place or you're doing too much pressure. And we generally stay away from bones. So like, working on, if you were working hard on your collarbone here, that would probably hurt. But like the scalp actually loves pressure. So that's a bone that likes, the skull is right there and that loves pressure, as does your sacrum at the base of your spine. That likes pressure. But in general, stay away from bones. Also, if ever you're doing anything and you're feeling a pulse, you should move because you could be impinging circulation. We're working on muscles. We're not working on veins and arteries. So. And the other thing is to remember to breathe. So often we're like, and suddenly realize you're not breathing. And breathing is oxygenating your tissues. It's very important to get the best out of a massage. And I thought what I could just do is we could kind of do a little guided massage. And we could, if you're comfortable taking off your shoes, we could start with the feet. They're a very important part of our bodies. And you could just, put your tennis ball under your foot, kind of roll it around, and try and get all the surfaces, Yeah. And if you wanted more pressure, you could stand up and do it, or you can stay in your chair and just work the edges, under the toes. Can your toes grab the ball? Kind of sides and then you can switch feet, do the other one. And it's okay if your ball rolls away, just go get it back. And it's kind of a nice way to warm up the foot. I'm really enjoying it in the arch of my foot right now. But our heels are the hard-working parts of our bodies. And then if you guys are comfortable and can reach your foot, you can grab it and kind of squeeze it And there are different massage strokes. One is a spreading stroke, and if you grab your foot with your thumbs on top and kind of separate your thumbs and drag and with some pressure over the top of your feet, that feels really good. And you can squeeze and pull your toes with the other foot. And also, you know, you could practice moving your ankles, doing circles, breathing.
And if you want to stand up, just turn the chair around and balance with one hand.
And then you can work your hands up your leg, kind of squeezing the calf with the heel, and you can kind of dig your heel of your hand into the back of your leg and sort of squeeze it around to the front. That feels kind of good. And work on the shin, which is you have your hard shin bone, and then just to the side, that lateral to that is some dense tissue. You can just do a little massage in that. You could use your tennis ball, roll it around, and do the other side, squeeze in those calves. I find in general people's calves are very tight, and they're often very sensitive. And then working on the side of the shin there. And knees. Our knees, there's a lot going on in the knees. And if you can get to something like where your knee is extended but doesn't have pressure, you can actually move your kneecap around.
This one is metal.
Well, maybe not that one. I don't know
Do
how
metal
they
kneecaps
work.
move?
I don't know,
They must if they simulate. If you can move your leg, your kneecap must
You
move.
have-
Yes, and you can hear it too.
Yeah.
Can you hear it over there?
No, I can't hear it.
But you can, so you can work your knees and get behind your knees. There are little muscles that are behind your knees. And one of the things too with self-massage, it can be a time for yourself. Like, you can make it kind of special. You could get some candles, play some nice music, take a hot bath before or after, or both. Just make it a nice time for yourself. It's a lovely way to relax. And you can work your upper leg. And again, I was telling you about that IT band on the outside. This is a great place for the rolling pin.
I want to try that rolling
By
pin
all
thing.
means,
Yes,
yes.
I have to go buy a rolling pin.
Well, you can get a foam roller that looks like that, that's designed for massage, which might work better, or just something to keep in mind. I also have this exercise thing that
That feels good.
also can be used like that. Roll.
This is really good.
Yeah.
This works for me because I can hold it like
Yes,
this.
so perfect. And if you want to pass it, and other people can try it.
Yeah.
And you can work the backs of your legs by sitting there.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm going to have to buy a
With
rolling
a-
pin. I avoided one my whole life.
But at least you won't be using it for pie, right?
Oh, me make pie? No.
That's awesome. And there's different strokes and different, you can use your knuckles, for instance. If it's in a position that's convenient, you can use a forearm. Your heels of your hands, fingertips. Our friendly tennis ball.
Sure.
Yeah. Tennis balls are awesome.
Feels good.
And then with the wall, you can do with the tennis ball, because it's hard to get that middle part of your back, but we can go against the wall and get, so all in here around your back of your pelvis, and there's lots of wall space. You guys
I'm going
can-
to try it. Well,
Yeah.
my daughter will lay on the floor with a tennis ball.
Yes.
She's a violinist, so her shoulders are always cramped.
Yes, fine. Very hard.
And that's actually where my knots are.
Doesn't it feel good? Yeah.
And the pressure seems to be better on
Yeah.
knots
What
than
the hell,
rubbing.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah, go for it. I've got the spot
Why
right
don't you take
here.
even that sock with the two, and then you got one going up each side of your back.
Try it. And that's the nice thing at Wyndham Movement Apparel. They have different rollers. They have a foam roller like that.
Try that?
No,
That's what she should do. She seems to be on either side of her
Yeah,
spine. And
right.
if she had the space in between.
Where are you supposed to put this bowl? Right
So you
there?
can put it
Anywhere.
anywhere. You
Oh,
just want it to
how's
be
that?
pretty much on soft tissue.
And don't roll off it. No.
Doesn't that feel nice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does feel good.
Have to-
And you can be adjusted as needed.
Yeah, and it gives you good leg exercise at the same time.
It does.
You do a little squat?
Yeah.
That's very good.
Like right now, I can feel this is like triggering like a sciatic thing down my leg, but I'll keep at it because sometimes it happens, and sometimes you can work through it, and other times you say, well, maybe I'll stop for the day. And again, listen
wanna
to your
try this
body and
No, I'm fine.
Oh.
see how it goes.
Please, Fran.
Yeah.
I mean, is she a musician locally or?
Not presently. She's a music ed major, so her principal instrument was violin. She also plays piano.
And also, this helps, you can get into that part of your middle back which you cannot reach with your hands. And you can also put it up higher, like you don't have to keep.
If you
As we crash to the floor.
can't reach.
Yeah, well,
Have to
yeah.
just drop it down from the top. Gotta remember we're being videoed here.
That's great, that's
Don't
great.
show your belly.
I've got it on her.
That's right.
Leave that part out.
Yeah. Sorry for editing. Yeah, so you can work that tennis ball around anyway.
Okay.
And you can also do this on the floor if you want more pressure. You can roll it around, and this will be a little bit deeper
Did you want to try this one?
because it's my body weight. So
Keeps it from rolling away as much.
it actually feels really good. So all kinds of things. And also feel free if you guys want to play with the Theracane.
Ah,
And you can practice, putting it behind your back. And, it's kind of like a leverage thing. Because you push by pushing up there, it's going in deeper in my back. So if you want to try that, you don't have to either. Start very gently.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it takes a little practice maybe to get the feel for it.
Interesting.
And sometimes, like when we're doing, for instance, if we were massaging bare skin, sometimes it's nice to have a little lubricant. I use, this is a specially designed massage cream, it's water soluble. But lotion, any kind of oil, but just sometimes it's nice to have something so you slide, it just makes gliding over skin a little easier. But there's also something to be said for having the friction, that it's a good skin stimulant for the friction. So it's really, kind of you figure out what you like, but working the forearm, that's a very nice place to massage. And hands, too. Work. And if it's hard to work on your own hand because your hands are sore from arthritis, I wonder if you could,
Yeah.
get our friendly tennis ball going here. Or something like, maybe even the rolling pin.
Rolling pin again, maybe.
You can actually get two hands at the same time, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, the bottom hand is getting more of the benefit than the top, but yeah. But it really works quite well.
Maybe I need to about having a rolling pin and now we go
And also, like a scalp massage is really a nice thing where, I mean, all I'm doing is just kind of dragging my thumb toward my hands, going upward to the top of my head. And you can do circles. I have a scalp that's very tight on my head, whereas some people have nice loose ones, and you can manipulate it, and it rolls up under your fingers. But really? Yes. And I don't know. I have a theory that it's partly tension and partly hereditary, because my whole family, we all have scalps that are like painted on our skulls. Whereas I've done other siblings that have loose ones. So, but yeah, and this is like just such a nice wake up, for your, just in general, like when you're in the morning, a little scalp massage. And also if, for instance, sometimes with my kids, I wake them up in the morning for school and they'd be so sleepy. And I would go on like this, and all over, and they'd be, oh, stop it, go away, stop it. And then all of a sudden, they're awake and ready to go. So if you're kind of sleepy, you could do a kind of fast-paced, vigorous, sort of start, work your way up. It does kind of wake you up. And one thing too, just to think about, is the concept of antagonistic muscles. Every muscle has an antagonist, which what that means is, so if we have our biceps bends our arm like this, we've got to have another muscle that's going to straighten it out, or else we'd be like this all the time. So sometimes what happens is, like this muscle, the biceps, might be really tight or sore, but the problem is actually in its antagonist. That one's really tight, and it's just, they're in a tug of war. And this is where the pain is. So, for instance, like with shoulders, many of us, including me, have a tendency to do this. And what happens is these muscles get shortened, or maybe they're tense and they're pulling these muscles pull your shoulders forward. But those upper back muscles are what pull it back. So sometimes people are really sore there, but the problem where they need to release is in the chest. And
This is, when you walk with a cane, you have the tendency to do that.
Yes.
I have been trying to work on doing that.
yeah. And another nice thing to do for, like, it's a stretch, is if you roll up a towel and lay down like in your bed with the towel going like along the length of your spine, and then your shoulders kind of have to fall
That's a
around
good
it,
idea.
and it's comfortable.
So it's like traction for your shoulders?
It's more like, I guess it's a little bit of traction, but it's more gentle. It's more like gravity.
Gravity take control.
Gravity is your friend.
That's
Yeah.
really
Always high,
helpful.
right?
Yeah. And just see how it feels, and also anything like that, I advise, like, start slow. Do it for a few minutes, see how it feels. Like, you don't want to do it for like an hour, then realize the next day you can hardly move. So like start slow, take it easy, and work into things. And especially if it feels good, say you did 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Do more the next time. Just but pay attention. Like, listen to what your body's telling you in response to what you're doing.
And how thick should the towel roll be?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of trial and error. So if someone has very rounded shoulders, it might be nice to start with not too thick a towel roll, like maybe like a bath towel. Like, don't get your big giant bath sheet out for that one. And you can also roll it partly, and then you don't have to roll the whole thing up. You could roll and have some dangling out if you don't have small towels, and play with it.
Your mattress too, that's got to play
Yeah.
soft your mattress is.
Right.
We need a thicker.
And it is hard, though, as you said, especially with the cane or like laptop computers. Suddenly you realize you're sitting like this. It's very hard. But so that's pretty much what I have. I kind of hope it gives you a start to think about, the idea of massaging yourself. And I'm hoping that you guys, I got the tennis balls for you guys to take home.
Uh-huh.
And there's enough here, I think you each could take 2 if you want. And I don't play tennis anymore, so they will have no use for me other than, and I have enough at home, so yeah, so feel free to
And
take
you know
these.
what I use mine for? My walker.
Yes, exactly. That is one of the 15 uses of tennis balls I saw on the
Exactly,
website, so I don't know if you have any questions?
Do you have a card?
I do, I have some cards.
Allison, do you, is there only way to your office the stairs?
There is, that's the only way,
Oh,
but I
okay.
also do, I can come to people's homes, I do outcalls. I have a little
All right.
extra charge just for the
Yeah.
transportation, but
If you have a lot of stairs, yeah, it
Yeah.
is my,
I have a second floor office, Jean.
okay.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I can definitely come to people's homes, I have a portable table and stuff, so, yeah. And certainly play with it and have fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that towel thing tonight.
Oh, good, good. Excellent.
I'm afraid to put the ball down on the floor because I won't be able to
Well,
reach
don't
it.
worry, I can help you when it's time to go.
Well, great, thank you, Allison. And perhaps we should stand up and move around a little bit. Yeah, we've been sitting a long time, and we do have some refreshments. We have some liquid refreshment and some fruit salads, some veggies, some cheese and crackers. If you,
Oh, my goodness.
I know, we were expecting a few more people, but help yourselves if you'd like something, and we will resume shortly. It takes longer to do the program because there are more questions, and so we're moving right along. I heard somebody needed to leave around 4 o'clock, and it looks like that we might
Gonna work?
be complete by then. Yes, I think
Did
it
they
could
move
be.
the clock? It used to be.
It's over there.
We moved it.
Oh.
Yes, we moved it.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Yes, we moved it on purpose so that we could pay attention. Pay attention and not run over.
Yeah, my watch died the other day, so, and I'm lost. I keep doing this.
Yeah, I know.
It's not there.
Well, our next segment is about revolutionary breathing to manage pain, to relax, manage stress, and conquer addictions. And what I'm going to talk about today is 3 secrets about breathing to enhance your well-being, and actually to optimize your well-being, because breathing is really about energy. And the reason I can say that this is revolutionary is because I'm changing the definition of breathing. So tell me, when you think about breathing, what do you think of? What do you think of?
Breathing in the energy.
Breathing in.
Breathing in my nose and out my mouth.
Mm-hmm. So you think about breathing, basically is breathing in, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm here to tell you that to maximize breathing, it's just the opposite. And that's why it's revolutionary. 180 degrees around, it's the out-breath that's most important. And my job today is to show you why this is so. And convince you that when you think about breathing, you want to think about your out-breath. And I call it a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking. So I have this box here. And out of the box, I'm going to give each of you a pinwheel. Because this, I could stop now. You've learned everything you need to learn. Because the pinwheel only works when you blow on it. And you work best when you're focused on your breath. And we will demonstrate that. You will demonstrate it to each other that the fact that you are at your best when you're blowing out. And all my contact information is on here. Yes. So it's revolutionary. And that's significant because it's not just It's not just some information. This is really practical. It's going to get you out of many a hole when you need something, when you need to grab on something and you don't know where your strength is going to come from. Remember your pinwheel. This is your pinwheel. It's always with you. It's your imagination. Let me tell you a little story about one more story about how I became convinced that this really works. And I have a lot of stories, but this one I want to tell you about is about something I learned when I worked at the ALS clinic in Manhattan. I was the respiratory therapist there for over 10 years. And my job was not to teach breathing, because respiratory therapists basically don't teach breathing. My job was to measure lung volumes. And I had the sad job of saying when you came in 3 months later that your numbers did not improve. That gives nobody any hope. And it would have been a dead-end job for me if I couldn't give people hope. Teaching them breathing, teaching them how to use their body more efficiently gave me a challenge to help them. And the challenge was that it wasn't part of the protocol in this clinic. I had about 20 minutes to see a person, and then another professional would come in to see them. And they would get really annoyed with you if you took too much time. So my challenge was to teach breathing in about 2 minutes. So what I would say is, this is your pinwheel. I want you to pretend that you're going to make it spin. I want you to blow on it gently. And when you are comfortably out of breath, pause. And then get right back to blowing on your pinwheel. So it's blow out it to a point of comfort, pause, and then get right back to blowing out. And I would watch as this person did it. Now this is a person who has some kind of muscle weakness. It might be their diaphragm, maybe they have a breathing problem, maybe their hands no longer work, maybe their neck was weak, maybe they couldn't swallow anymore. They could walk, they could use their hands, but they could not swallow. So they have various muscle issues. And so I would watch them, and what I discovered was that when they blew out, the belly went in, and when they paused, the belly came out slightly. And the belly would go back in when they blew out, and it would relax and fall out when they paused. I did not tell them to do anything when they don't. Their body knew what to do, and that amazed me because many of these people came in, some of them really totally paralyzed, or as total as you would want to be, let's say, thinking that they didn't have any muscles that worked, but their belly was working. And this was a wake-up call to me that, wow, the human body is smart, it knows what to do, and bellies even do not lose their function. They're the last muscles to lose function. And I think the reason we think it doesn't work when we're paralyzed, we think it doesn't work. The reason is because nobody's in touch with the belly. I think in our culture we don't talk about the importance of belly. It's where our energy source is, and it's also close to our sexual organs, so we don't want to talk about that. But belly is the most important group of muscles that you could possibly work on. For everything from digestion to having more energy. I'm going to talk about that shortly. So, it's revolutionary. And we're going to talk about 3 secrets about breathing. Oops. Skip that page. And the first secret is the third one. Forget the in-breath. Don't put any effort into sucking air in. Now, yeah, I know, and you think that's hard, right? How am I possibly going to do that? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I know. How am I going to change this habit I've had all my life? Well, it's going to take practice, and I want you to know that while I'm talking to you about this, and you're hearing it and taking it in, it doesn't mean that when you get home, you're going to remember it. Or even, what did Betsy say? Is my belly in? Is it out? Well, think about the pinwheel. One of the reasons you have it is because it's a symbol of what to do. It only works when you blow on it. You work best when you are focused on your out breath. And the reason for the gently pursed lips is you get more air out when you gently purse your lips than if you just went, ha. And you can do this breathing through your nose, but for learning purposes, it really works best to gently out through your mouth. Make that imaginary pinwheel spin.
So how are you getting air in?
Okay, let's go to secret number 2. Thank you for prompting.
I'm sorry.
No.
Keep blowing out.
Yeah, well, thank you for prompting me. Okay.
Will overcome any problem.
What did you say that again?
Your body will make you breathe in. You don't have to think about that.
And do you know why? Oops, this is 4. No, this is 2. There's no number 4. This is 2. That's what you're talking about. And I'll explain what I mean. What is this?
Bellows.
How does it work? What is its job?
To blow air.
Blow
Air.
onto
A fire you're trying to start.
and energize the fire, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's what its job is. How does it work?
Just pushing the air out.
Pushing air out, and then what happens?
You open it up and the air gets back in.
How does it go back in? Who's pushing it in?
Nobody.
It's a law of the universe. Let's just hold this thought a moment. What's this?
Turkey baster.
Turkey baster.
Yeah, how does it work? Okay, so you
Push out.
push the air out,
Out.
and then you put it in the
Release it.
liquid.
Liquid. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Aha! What goes along with a vacuum? Another word. It's with S. You create a vacuum when you squeeze something and suddenly expand it, and you create suction. Okay, vacuum and suction, and that's how this works. This is it. Would you agree? This is a container, and this is a container. You squeeze a container, and you suddenly expand it. You create a vacuum, which sucks whatever it is. It could be a liquid. It could be a gas. It could be a solid as well. It doesn't have to be a liquid or a gas. Okay, so that's how the universe works. Now, a question for you. Is your body a container? It contains solids, liquids, and gases. And it has containers for all of those, right? Yeah. So your belly, and the reason the words are similar, bellows and belly, is that this is your bellows. And when you squeeze your belly, you're pushing the air out because your guts are pressing up against your diaphragm, the most important muscle in respiration, which is right under your ribs, which is squeezing your lungs, and the air gets pushed out. And when you suddenly let go, release your belly muscles, expand your belly, you create a vacuum, which creates suction, which pulls in whatever you pushed out. Whatever you pushed out comes back in. So if you take a little breath, you're going to get a little breath back in. If you take a really long, you get to decide how long the breath should be. It depends on what you're doing. And like Allison was saying about experimenting with different implements and different positions, experiment with, well, how long do I actually push out? How long do I need to push out? How long do I want to push out? It really depends on what you're doing. If you're just sitting, you could push out a long time because you're not expending energy. So trying to balance creation of energy with expenditure of energy by how long you blow out. And this is a learning curve. I learned this 30 years ago. I've been doing it for 30 years. I don't really have to think about it much. I do. People will say to me, well, does your body do it automatically this way? Yes and no.
So are you just learning to breathe with your belly then? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what I'm hearing?
You're hearing that we're developing a connection with our belly muscles.
Okay.
Now, how do you do this? What I found over the years, it's best, most people, for instance, see, I can wiggle my belly. Can you wiggle your belly?
Yeah.
Can you wiggle your belly? Well, that's important. If you can, that's wonderful. But if you can't, you want to get in touch with it. So you put your hands on your belly, and for the out-breath, you press gently. And it's back towards your spine and even up, because you're trying to press your guts up against your diaphragm. And then when you have held it long enough, whatever that is, you let go. Your belly comes out, your diaphragm has room to drop down, expanding your lungs, and the air comes in. And it happens as instantly as it happens with the oven baster and the bellows. If you wait too long, your body's going to do a little inefficient breath up here. We're trying to avoid breathing up here. And let me tell you why. Let's do a little tour of our anatomy, breathing anatomy and physiology. So, nose and mouth. Which do you breathe through? Now, ideally when you're sitting, your mouth is closed. Because your nose is designed to filter and warm the air. And people who breathe through their mouth, especially at night, so sleep is generally 1/3 of our day, 1/3 of our lifetime. If you sleep with your mouth open for, let's say, a decade, the roof of your mouth is going to be pushed up by air pressure, and you will have nasal congestion in here because the space up here has been squeezed by the roof of your mouth. So it's ideal to sleep with your mouth shut. It's easier said than done. If you're sleeping with your mouth open, you probably know it because you have a dry mouth. There are lots of things you can do. One is massage. If you have, as I have had to do, because if you have a lot of stress and you carry it here in your temporomandibular joint, TMJ, you may have heard of TMJ dysfunction, it's not going to allow you to relax and close your mouth at night. And there are lots of things you can do for that. Self-massage. And it hurts. It hurts, but you know what? Sometimes you have to go through the pain to get beyond it and soften that up to allow it, the jaw, to do its job. So there are a lot of reasons why your mouth is open, and it's good to discover what that reason is. So, nose or mouth. So when you're active, like I like to hike, I have recently learned, because I've really gotten lately more in touch with my belly muscles, that I can actually keep my mouth shut and breathe out and in through my nose. And I had a kid who asked me 30 years ago, he had asthma, and he said to me, because I was talking about pursed lip breathing, and he said, can you purse your nose? And I thought it was a brilliant question that I had never thought of. And so I said, well, you know what? Why don't you try it and see? And so pursing your nose means putting a little focus on your nose and really pushing out through your nose. Now, it didn't work for me for a long time. I would say until recently, when I thought, you know what, I think I'm ready to try it. And I have tried it going on some very steep places, out through my nose and in through my nose. And actually, it's working. So it does work. For the period of time when your mouth is open to let the air in, when you're doing this, it's not significant in terms of increasing, moving the palate of your, the roof of your mouth. Not an issue at all. So nose, mouth, out through your pursed lips, then close your lips and let the air come in through your nose. So you get the air in and it goes down your airway. And the next point of significance I'd like to share is about an inch below the crook in your collarbone. You feel your collarbone and then go down about an inch. This is what I call a speed bump. It's usually 2 or 3 inches wide, and it's a bump. Yeah. What's significant is what's behind there. So in the back of your throat is your pharynx, and the pharynx connects to your airway. It's one tube, and here, under the top of your breastbone, that's what this is, the top of your breastbone, the airway splits into your right lung and your left lung. The significance of this is if your clothing is moving like this, that's as far as the air is ever getting. And these are called conducting airways. These tubes we call, once they split, they're called bronchioles. And the bronchioles keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they get down, way down deep in the lungs where the bronchi turn into little sacs called alveoli. And there are millions of them. And they're just one cell thick of tissue, and the oxygen molecule goes through that into the bloodstream, and the CO2 comes out of the bloodstream. You know, it's amazing, this work that our body does. So the significance of conducting airways is that it helps to transport air down deep into the lungs where the oxygen exchange can occur. So if your clothing is going like this, and your breathing is shallow and it's probably fast if it's up here, it means that your air is getting stuck here. It's never getting down into the alveoli where the oxygen and the CO2 get exchanged. So you're not getting the full benefit. Pretty interesting stuff. Now let's talk about the diaphragm. Has anybody ever seen or eaten skirt steak? Skirt steak is a very thin muscle, and usually in the package it's usually in a triangle, which is part of the circle, and actually it's the diaphragm of the animal. And the reason I mention this is because it's a beautiful muscle. It's flared. It's unlike other muscle. It's like a flared skirt because it's a circle. It's flared, and I taught this breathe-out dynamic system to a butcher one time, and he knew more about anatomy and physiology than I did. And he told me that the diaphragm is the most highly oxygenated muscle in the body because it's the most important muscle in the body. So it's round. It's saucer shaped. It's high in the front. It's high in the front under your rib cage. Then your ribs drop down, and it goes all the way around your back, and it's low in the back. And it's an incredible muscle. It is not a muscle that you can wiggle, like you can wiggle your finger. You cannot will your diaphragm to work. You may have heard in an exercise class somebody says, breathe from your diaphragm. Do you know what that means? From here. Yeah, but how do you do that? You take a big breath in. Okay, what happens when I take a big breath in? Your shoulders are already up. Yeah, my shoulders are up, my belly comes in. I'm squeezing my belly when I really need to be expanding. So if I want air to come in, why am I squeezing things, right? So you take a big breath. Your shoulders come up. Guess what? Your lungs are not attached to your shoulders. So this is wasted energy. Yeah, wasted energy. So all you have to do is influence the diaphragm by pushing your guts up against, even if it's backwards, towards your spine, you're compressing the space. Your guts have to go somewhere, and they're going to push everything. And the diaphragm gets pushed up. The air gets pushed out, and when you release your belly, the diaphragm drops down. It only needs to drop about an inch. You don't need a big chest full of air to accomplish what you need to accomplish. You just need, what you're trying to accomplish actually is a change in pressure inside your body. And just by dropping the diaphragm down 1 inch, change the air pressure inside enough that there's a difference between the inside and the outside, and it gets sucked in because there's less inside. And everything likes to equilibrate. I think somebody mentioned equilibration here before. But, so, the air comes in all by itself without a lot of effort. Now, as I told you before, I wrote a book. It took me 9 years to write this book because I needed to get it right, and I need to make it understandable to people who are not in the medical field. And as I was writing it, I realized I never, even as a respiratory therapist, even though I passed all the exams, I never fully understood how the diaphragm works. And when I was writing the book one day, I was pondering something, and I looked at my hand and I said, you know, this looks like a diaphragm when it's relaxed. Now, when a diaphragm is relaxed, remember it's a circular muscle, it's dome-shaped. And it's up, pushing air out. It's hard, so it has two jobs, diaphragm. Push air out, push old air out, push out carbon dioxide. Hugely important to get rid of carbon dioxide. But then its job is to allow air to come in. So then, because you release your belly, the diaphragm drops down. It flattens out. And it only needs to move an inch. When it flattens out, as your hand does, that's work. But you're relaxed because you're not sucking anything in. All you did was let go of your belly. So you are saving a ton of energy in this whole breathing process of focusing on your belly, focusing on the out-breath, and you're getting well oxygenated. So it's a double, triple benefit here because you're doing things efficiently and you're allowing the universe to do what it does.
Do you
Question?
ever work with singers?
Yes. Are you a singer?
No, I'm not, but I have been around people who are, you know.
And using your belly is hugely important. Yes, hugely important in pushing. Because if you have, as a respiratory therapist, we would say, if you have voice, you have air. But you could also say, if you have air, you have voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're both very meaningful. Absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, you know what I'd like you to do? Actually, we're going to try this for a little bit. So I'd like you to sit up, straighten your chair, feet flat on the floor. I want you to feel your back against the chair. Now, it's hard. These are not really straight back chairs, but when you get home, try it in a straight back chair because the chair will give you information about your back. So there's a normal curve down here. And so when I squeeze my belly, my back straightens a little bit, and then when I relax, the curve returns. And you could also do this lying in bed is another wonderful place to do this, or flat on the floor, to feel how when you're pushing air out, if you're on the floor, your belly is coming down to the floor. In fact, let me give you another image. And I also need to tell you, I think I mentioned this before, this takes this little piece of yoga wisdom that says you get strength from your out-breath. And it's about how to apply it in daily life. It also, it was the second thing I wanted to mention, and it escaped me, but maybe it'll come back. Also, I guess the other thing I want to share with you is I didn't invent this, or I didn't develop this. None of us invented it. It's yoga, piece of yoga. My mentor was a fellow named Ian Jackson. He's no longer with us. He was an athlete of all sorts. He was a dancer, he was a surfer, he trained Olympic cyclists in this breathe-out dynamic system. It was called something different when he was teaching it. But I met him 30 years ago because I was a hiker and very active in the outdoors. And I took a week-long workshop with him in Rhinebeck, New York at Omega Institute. And that's when I realized, wow, this is going to revolutionize how I hike. And someone said to me, your work is often focused on something that you needed to do personally. And I thought, well, what was this need I had to teach breathing? And I remember as a kid, I lived in New England at the time, and trying to climb up Mount Monadnock when I was 6 and 7 years old, it was a chore. I had the hardest time getting up there. I loved up there, and I could get down with no problem. And I wanted to be up there, but I was always winded. I could never pass a swim test because I was, and that is not the way to swim. In fact, if you put your face in the water, you're blowing out. And we know how quickly swimmers are out of the water and then they're back in. That's how long it takes for the air to come in. So if you're a swimmer who puts your face in the water, you understand this whole system. And you trust that it works. It works all the time. Okay, so Ian Jackson, the brilliance of Ian Jackson was how he taught it. And he believed in images, getting a picture of what it is you want to do. So the pinwheel is a picture. Okay, another picture is when you're lying in bed, flat on your back, your belly button is actually a button. And there's a thread attached to it that goes straight down through your spine to the floor. And under your bed, there is a genie pulling on the string. And your belly button goes down to the bed. And then you let the belly button pop up. And then the genie pulls on it again. And you get to decide how long are you going to pull it down and how quickly will you get back to pulling it down. And play around with it. See how long you can blow out and what happens at that point. Now, one thing that might happen is you get lightheaded or dizzy. That's normal. But it will and you can alleviate that by just rebreathing the CO2, and that'll help to balance out your the gases in your body.
You're already in bed, so you're not going to fall.
Right.
Yeah. Very safe place for exercise, for massage, for practicing this. And the great thing about lying flat is that gravity is evenly divided over your whole body, whereas when you stand up, it affects you differently. And so it's much easier to pull your belly down to the bed as opposed to me saying, pull on your belly button string, and suck your guts in and then release it. So this may be the prime way for you to learn to do this is lying in bed, because it's much easier to pull your belly down towards the floor. And that's the exercise. Play around with it. See what works. See what happens when you blow out fast. Do I still have air to blow out? How do I feel? Do I just feel exhausted, or what's going on? And I have to tell you that the underlying message of this whole, not only of the breathe out dynamic system, but of this whole day is loving your body. Just the way it is today, and taking good care of it. It's the only one you're going to get for a while. And bodies are incredible organisms that respond beautifully to positive reinforcement and hope. And knowing how to use your body effectively for breathing gives you hope. So, I'd love someone to tell me how you might practice this when you go home. A little review so that we kind of plant it in our brains.
I lead an exercise class. So one of them is like the deep breath before you push up. So you're pushing out on the way up.
Excellent.
But I'm hearing you tell me that you don't have to.
Exactly. And you know what,
and we all count out loud, so that's the way of making sure everybody's breathing.
Because they're breathing out. If you are talking,
Right.
You are breathing out. Excellent. Singing, talking, out breath.
But I don't need to encourage them to take a deep breath in
First.
before going
You can
out.
help them build strong bellies.
We always say suck it in.
No. You can't
No.
always have your belly sucked in. No.
No.
You need your belly relaxed when, This is what happened to me. My German grandmother taught me to stand up straight and suck in my guts.
Yeah, you hear that all the time in exercise classes. Suck in the tummy and tuck in your butt. And
When I was in my early 20s, I had low back issues because I had straightened out my spine, keeping my tummy in all the time. Allison talked about towel rolls. I had to lie on towel rolls, I would say probably for the better part of a year, every day, to retrain my spine, to redevelop that curve in my back. So you need a very relaxed belly to,
but maybe more concentrate on the softer knees to protect your lower back.
Yeah.
And not necessarily sucking in the tummy.
Sucking in your guts, yeah.
Yes.
I had a state trooper in one of my classes many years ago. And so when we do this, we push the air out and then we let our belly out. He could not let his belly out because of this military posture. He had no ability to release his belly. He said he couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Overtrained.
In Ayurveda, we have pranayama breath work, and there's one specific pranayama called Kapalbhati, which is skull shining breath. And it's the half breath, but it's all out. So you take in like half a breath, you take in a breath, and you let half your breath out, and then you, at a regular rhythm, you go.
It's kind of Lamaze.
And you're you're forcing the breath out, but you're not even thinking about it's going back in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just do it until you stop.
Again, learning to trust. Learning to trust that the air comes in. Yeah. You said something, I have so many thoughts spinning in my head. Okay, any other questions or concerns? All right. What is the number one secret? The number one secret is so if the out-breath makes you strong, this is why you can forget the in-breath, because the in-breath doesn't do much for you. It just fills your lungs. But let me, we're going to get back to this. I remember now what I want to share with you that Linny sparked in me. So here we do this very efficient breathing. In the book I write about, I was ticklish in my rib cage. When my family would put their arms around me, they would tickle me. I thought, this is not normal. You should not be jumping when your loved ones touch you. And I thought, it's twitchy muscles. Muscles that are not used a lot get twitchy. That's why sometimes you see people jiggling their leg. They need to go out for a walk, probably. Because the muscles are looking for movement. Muscles want to move. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do a little experiment. Ian Jackson, my mentor, talked about a game that he would have people play called Be a Balloon. And it was it follows this, but it's with an effort on the in-breath, but also effort on the out-breath. And he would say, pretend that your belly is a pear-shaped balloon. You're going to expand it out and feel the air come up to here, and then you're going to push it all out and stretch everything and push it all out. So I was expanding the muscles between the intercostals between my ribs. And I did this for 2 or 3 months. And lo and behold, I stopped being twitchy. And so that's the kind of thing you can give yourself a challenge. Well, let me see what happens when I try this or that or the other thing. And bodies are amazing. They can learn new tricks. It's amazing. Okay, out-breath makes you strong. I want to prove this to you. So I need a strong person to, we're going to do, it's called kinesiology. We're going to do muscle testing. Here's what we're going to do before you decide you want to do this, or be the guinea pig. I'm going to ask you to put one arm up a little above shoulder height and resist me. I'm going to press down, and I want you to resist me. And we're going to do it 3 times. And I'll give you instructions as we go along.
Hold on to it.
Okay. Okay, good. Excellent. Do you have one arm stronger than the other? Or
Probably
one
the right.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So, up a little above shoulder height and resist. Don't let me push you. Come on, don't let me push you down. What are you doing with your breath?
Holding it.
100% of the people who do this hold their breath the first time. Why is it not a good idea? Who knows? I'm sure you have some more thoughts.
Makes you tense.
It makes you tense. And what about that word tense? When you think of the word tense, what's another form of the word? Tension.
Tight.
Tight. What's tight?
Like, my chest and
Muscles. And tension's also, we call it blood, or we call it hypertension. What's hypertension?
high blood pressure.
Okay, you just created high blood pressure. Okay, blood vessels are lined with muscles, right? So when you resist, everything in your body is tight. At a time when you want to be strong, which means you want blood to flow, right? You just squeezed everything off. So holding your breath is not a good idea. But forgive yourself when you find yourself doing it, and just, oh, okay, I'll blow up. Just get right into blowing up. It's an old habit that we all have. I still do it too. Okay, next time I want you to close your eyes. Now suck in a big breath. Okay, now close your eyes again and blow out, long and slow.
What a difference.
Out breath makes you stronger.
Right.
Not stronger, strong. The in breath, you're weak. And you know what? I'd like you to do.
What I was going to say was that exercise program is built around people counting while we do the exercises so that we are constantly breathing and taking air in.
And so tell me a little bit about this counting. How does the counting work?
As we do the exercises, you're the leader now. I used to be a long time ago. She does it
So
now.
whatever we do, whether it's bicep curls with weights, it's done slowly. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, squeeze, 5, 6, 7, 8. Return your hands back. 1, 2. So
And
everything.
you don't say
whether
anything
it's-
about breathing.
No. Well, yeah, and the only reference in my leader's book is overhead to make sure you're breathing out when you're pushing up. But I always thought you had to, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
In some exercises, some people have a tendency to hold their breath while they're doing
Yes,
it,
yes.
and especially since we use weights,
Yeah.
and so this, by counting, makes sure that people are breathing regularly, at least.
Right. Exactly.
Because it doesn't do any good to go up on your weights if you're holding your breath to try to do that weight, right?
Right. Yeah. Good. So,
Who was the program developed by? It was
Tufts
Tufts
University.
University.
so here's something else you might think about. So when I think about lifting weights, exhale up, exhale on exertion.
Right.
And then what I would do, because going up is hard work. Coming down, you're not just going to let your arm fall. Coming down can be hard work too. So I exhale up, and then quickly let the air in, and then exhale down.
So as
Because-
long, if you're exhaling while you're counting.
If you're
that-
counting going down, you're
Yeah, we
exhaling.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it gets, as we're holding, it gives you time to get that little breath before 5, 6, 7, 8.
Excellent, excellent.
Huh?
Yeah. And also, when you get home and maybe you've forgotten the count or you're reading some exercise that's written down, and it's like you have to have the paper right next to you as you're exercising because it says count to 5 on this or that, or it's like you can choreograph your own numbers based on your needs. So if you want to go faster, you can change your numbers. And I can't tell you which way the numbers might go because sometimes faster is easier, believe it or not. But it's a way of you, and I explain it in the book, but coordinating breathing with walking, for instance, how many steps on my out breath, how many to let the air in. It depends on whether you're walking flat or whether you're going up a hill. It's like gearing a bicycle. If you start gearing the bicycle down when you're halfway up the hill, you're going to come to a screeching halt. So you have to think about it in advance and anticipate the change. But you know what I'd like us to do? We've been sitting a while. Why don't we stand up and why don't you find someone who you'd like to do the muscle test with so that you get this experience of how strong you are. I want this to be impressed upon you so that you don't let anything get in the way of having fun doing something because you think you're not strong enough. You are strong. So who'd like to, 2, 4, we're even Stephen here. So you're gonna do it, let's just do it 2 different ways because we don't need to hold our breath. You get that, okay? So the first one is going to be,
I'll do it on your lap, but you want to put your arm up.
Okay.
Okay.
And what am I supposed
okay, so you're going to resist, you don't want Allison to push your arm down. Okay, so you know what, let's just, so close your eyes. It's important to close your eyes because then you don't know when she's going to push. So close your eyes and take in a big breath. This is the first one. Just close your eyes and take in a big, and push it down. No, see, okay, no. Just suck in air. Just suck in this time. Just suck in.
And hold your breath?
Okay. No. Forget it. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this because I want you to know how to do this so that you could show someone at home number one, what you learned, but also share this with
At the
someone.
party tonight, it'll be our
Hey!
party.
Oh, your party activity. Cool. Okay. So let's do it the 3 ways because you're going to do it with strangers who don't know this. Okay. So the instructions are: arm up a little above shoulder height and resist. Don't let me push your arm down. Come on, do whatever you have to do. Don't let me push your arm down. Are you really trying to resist? I want you to try to resist. Really. Yeah. Okay, you did your best. Okay. Now, the importance of closing your eyes is that on the in-breath, if your eyes are open, you're going to see me when I push down. I don't want you to know when I'm going to push down. So close your eyes and just take in a big breath. And the person who's pushing down needs to watch so that they know when they're sucking in, okay? So arm up above shoulder height a little bit.
How do I know we should?
I went down to do it to the exhale.
Yeah.
So you resist. It's okay.
I want you to
I felt the
experience,
change, but I felt the
so
change
you know what?
when she was
Yes.
inhaling to when she was exhaling, because suddenly your arm stopped. So you were strong.
I think what you did was you realized that you lost, because Allison overpowered you and you said, oh, I'm not going to let her overpower me.
You took me out of the crowd as a fighter.
This is wonderful. You used your new knowledge not to let this person overcome you.
Yeah, good work.
Okay, all right.
Well, this is about the power of breathing. It makes you strong. And it's important that you experience this so you have no doubt in your mind that focusing on your out breath is a worthy endeavor. And let me tell you, it takes practice. I am merely talking to you about this right now. You're taking it in. Do you understand this? No. You need to, maybe in your brain you understand it.
I gotta have
But-
you try me.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, play around with it. You need to learn this in your muscles. Muscles are slow learners. They're smart, but they're slow learners. Muscles require practice. Did you overcome her?
Oh, yeah, because I heard her breathing in.
Good work.
Yeah, it worked, so you overcame
Yeah,
her.
but I did
So now you
Should
know
I
how
not
weak
let
you are.
her?
No. I want you to understand how weak you are on your in-breath.
Okay.
So that you will focus on your out-breath. But just for this game that we're playing,
I'm a big one to take that big breath before doing something, so
So now,
I don't do it until I'm blowing out.
Okay.
What you are assuming is that you don't have any air in your lungs. Therefore, before I do anything, I have to suck it in. No, you don't. You have a air in your lungs already.
I'm supposed to
It may
meet
not be
somebody
quite enough for what you're doing, but you can make up
party
for that.
tonight who was gonna
Vacuum
drive
will
me.
suck it in.
So I don't want to
Okay.
be late.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, here's your purse. Here's your tennis balls.
Okay.
You want me to help you carry things out to your car? I don't
Okay, no, you have to press down when she's blowing out.
Yeah.
Just start by blowing out.
I'll take
Just
the
blow out.
paper and your tennis ball.
Oh, come on,
You can use
resist
your
her.
cane.
I just want to
Resist
thank
her. Yes, Robin.
I want to thank you. This was really a good program. I'm impressed by all three of you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much. It was really interesting, and I know where you are, and I know how to find you.
Yes, information is on the
Resist.
paper.
Okay.
Resist.
Grateful of that.
Be your strongest
And I'll just
self.
follow you around.
And you know.
Don't hold your breath.
Yep, ready? Yeah.
See, you can do it.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah, now resist. Don't let me push you around now. Go.
Space.
Do you have a massage?
Use your pursed lips.
I probably did. There you go.
Resist me. Don't let me push you around now.
That's wonderful.
See, I think you're not understanding what resist means.
Yeah.
Don't let me push you down.
Okay.
Okay. Resist.
Oops.
I'm going to push. Resist.
I'm trying.
Laughing is good because that's your output.
All right.
Laughing is very important. It helps to relax you. Out breath makes you strong and it relaxes you.
It's like when I go to the rheumatologist and he wants to check out my strength, I have to remember to breathe out.
Well, you better, because you want to show him your best.
Right.
You don't want to show him your weakest. And see, and this is where docs don't get it. You could,
Right.
They don't know that you could be stronger. You could be a lot stronger. Ask him what he does to take care of his health. Or her health.
Right.
It's a very important question. Very important question. We should get Allison in here and just wrap things up for our remote audience. Are there any questions you have or anything that, any questions I can answer or practice when you get home?
Not at the moment.
Okay,
Maybe
good.
tomorrow.
Well, you got my phone.
Do you have any more on your website that?
Really, the instructional part is the book. There's information on the website about how people have used this in the past. Very inspirational stories. In fact, one guy who came here last July, I taught this class, and there was a primary election in Vermont that day. And after he left here, he went to the election, he went home. This was a guy in his 60s, a little robust, shall we say. He had on Crocs. And he wrote me a few months later, he said, when I got home, I got a stick stuck in my Croc, and I fell. I was right at my house, and I fell. He said the only way that, and he also broke a couple of ribs.
Ooh.
The only way he was able to get up was because he had just learned about the strength of his
The
out-breath.
exhale. Aha.
Yeah, so that happened here. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to get a stick caught in your sandal, but
So
I
when
hope
you can't
that-
get off the floor, breathe out.
Exactly. If you get caught in a tight place and you don't know what else to do, number one, the out breath will help to relax your mind so that you can think straight to figure out, what am I going to do next? And it triggers you. We didn't talk about this. There's so much to talk about. Your autonomic nervous system. The out breath triggers your, and I try not to use that word trigger, any gun-related metaphors. It influences your autonomic nervous system to relax. And when you're relaxed, the blood flows and your brain can work. Otherwise, just your vital organs are working, and it's not your brain. Your body can live without a brain, believe it or not. And that's what it tries to do when it goes into this fight and flight response. So being relaxed is hugely important. Yeah.
So massage your way into relaxation.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And eat according to your dosha.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
doing well.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming.
for coming, you
Yeah.
guys.
It's good to
Great
see
to
you
see
again.
you. Yes.
We had daughters in preschool together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, long time ago, and
Yeah.
then I've had Allison's